I put my mother-in-law on speakerphone. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost dropped it. I said, Patricia, I found out about the monthly payments to Ryan. I need you to tell me what that money is for. 10 seconds of dead silence. Then, in that perfectly composed voice like she was ordering a latte, she said, Ryan, I told you she would find out eventually. And just like that, my entire marriage collapsed into one sentence. See, I had just discovered 47 secret deposits. $2,000 a month. Every single month since our wedding. $94,000. All funneled from my mother-in-law into a hidden account. My husband was being paid to love me. And the payments went up the month I got pregnant. But to understand how we got here, I need to take you all the way back to the beginning because the red flags were there from day one. I just did not want to see them. Before I get into the full story, if you enjoy these kinds of stories, hit that like button and subscribe. I post new stories every week and trust me, they only get crazier from here. Alright, let me tell you how this all started. 5.5 years ago, I was 26, fresh out of my master's program in occupational therapy at OHSU in Portland, Oregon. I was working at a pediatric clinic in Southeast, had a cute little apartment on Division Street, and for the first time in my adult life, I was genuinely happy being single. I had done the string of mediocre boyfriends in my early 20s, and I was done forcing it. Ryan walked up to me at a coffee shop called Brood Awakening on Hawthorne Boulevard on a rainy Wednesday in October. Or maybe it was a Thursday. No, it was definitely Wednesday because I remember I had just come from my half day at the clinic. Anyway, he was 29, tall, brown hair, worked in tech sales downtown. The Patagonia vest type. You know the guy. He said, look, I have been sitting over there for 10 minutes trying to think of something clever, and I got nothing. You're just really beautiful, and I wanted to say hi. It was corny, but he was genuinely nervous, like his hands were actually shaking a little, and I laughed and let him buy me a coffee. It was a $5 oat milk cordido, which feels like a dumb detail, but I remember it. We talked for 3 hours. He told me about growing up in Lake Oswego, one of the wealthy suburbs south of Portland. His dad died when he was 15. His mom, Patricia, raised him and his older sister alone, worked 2 jobs, never dated again. He talked about her like she was a saint. I remember thinking, a man who loves his mom like that knows how to love a woman. That thought is going to haunt me for the rest of my life. We dated for about 1.5 years. Ryan was everything I wanted. Attentive, consistent, romantic in the small ways that matter. He would show up at my clinic with Thai food on my 12-hour days. He planned a surprise trip to Cannon Beach for our 6-month anniversary. He told me he loved me on a random Tuesday night while we were burning garlic bread in my tiny kitchen. No grand gesture, just real. But there was one thing that should have been a massive red flag, and I completely blew right past it. Meeting his mother. Ryan kept putting it off for 2 months, which I thought was sweet, like he was being protective. When I finally met Patricia at a Sunday dinner in her Lake Oswego house, I understood what he was actually protecting. She was in her early 60s, petite, wearing actual pearls to a casual dinner. Who wears pearls to a Sunday pot roast? She smiled at me the way you smile at a stain on your blouse. Polite, but you could feel the assessment happening. She asked what my parents did, and when I said my dad was a plumber and my mom worked at a daycare, she said, "Oh, how nice," in this voice that could freeze vodka. Over the next year, it got worse. She sent Ryan articles about how couples from different socioeconomic backgrounds have higher divorce rates. Literally emailing him studies. At Thanksgiving, while I was helping clear the table, she told me to my face that Ryan had dated a doctor's daughter before me, and she just wondered sometimes what might have been. I told Ryan and he sighed and said, "That is just Mom, Meg. She does not mean anything by it. She just wants the best for me, not the best for us. For him." And I should have paid way more attention to that distinction. I let it go. I let everything go because I loved him. We got married September 2022 at a vineyard in Willamette Valley. 80 guests, string lights, my dad ugly crying during his toast. Patricia wore a cream-colored dress that was about 2 shades from bridal white. My maid of honor Becca leaned over and whispered, "Is she actually serious right now?" I squeezed her hand and said, "Today is about love, not about her." Looking back, Patricia was telling me exactly who she was that day. I just was not listening. The first few months of marriage were fine. We moved into a 2-bedroom in the Pearl District, $2,400 a month, which was a stretch, but Ryan said he got a raise. We kept our finances mostly separate. Joint account for rent and bills, personal accounts for everything else. That was Ryan's preference. I did not push because I had read that a lot of couples do it that way. Now I know exactly why he wanted that setup. Around our first anniversary, Ryan started to fade. Not dramatically. He did not storm out or sleep on the couch. It was more like death by 1,000 small cuts. He stopped planning things. He would come home, get on his phone, and barely speak to me all night. Our conversations turned into logistics, water bill, groceries, Sunday dinner at your mom's. That was it. The warmth just drained out like someone pulled a plug. I tried. I said, Ryan, I feel like we are just roommates. He snapped back, I am tired, Megan. Work is insane right now. Not everything is about us. So I gave him space. Months of it. I did not want to be the nagging wife. That is what I told myself while my marriage was quietly dying. Which, looking back, was pretty stupid of me. Then around March 2023, Ryan said he wanted to start hitting the gym before work. Great, I said. He started leaving at 5:30 a.m., coming home energized, happier. I thought exercise was helping him. Then one Saturday I grabbed his car keys to get my sunglasses from his back seat and found a receipt from departure. This fancy rooftop restaurant downtown. A Tuesday night. 2 entrees. A bottle of wine. 2 desserts. $187 and some change. On a night he told me he was working late. My heart was going so fast, I thought I was going to throw up right there in the parking garage. I did not confront him immediately. I know, but I needed to think. A few days later, I casually said, Hey, have you been to Departure lately? I heard they changed their menu. He looked me dead in the eyes and said, Nah, I have not been there in forever. Just lied. Did not even blink. That still messes with me, honestly. The ease of it. That is when I started watching. I checked our joint account, and the numbers did not add up. Ryan made about $85,000 base. I made $62,000. After rent, his BMW lease at $550 a month, insurance, and everything else, we should have been scraping by. But Ryan bought new clothes constantly. He always grabbed the check at group dinners. When I asked, he said commissions were rolling in. I wanted to believe him. God, you have no idea how badly I wanted to believe him. Summer 2023, I found out I was pregnant. Not exactly planned, but we had talked about kids eventually. When I told him, he lifted me off the ground and said, We are going to be the best parents, Meg. And for a while, things actually got good again. He came to every appointment. He spent an entire long weekend building the nursery himself, like 8 hours a day with YouTube tutorial videos and a drill he barely knew how to use. Patricia was suddenly my best friend, calling every day, sending care packages, offering to throw the baby shower. I told Becca, maybe this baby is what we needed. I had no idea what was actually behind Ryan's sudden change. And I wish I could go back and shake myself. Lily was born February 2024. 6 pounds, 11 ounces, full head of dark hair, like her dad. 22 hours of labor ending in an emergency C-section. I was physically destroyed. But holding her, none of it mattered. Patricia basically moved in. She was at our apartment every morning, sometimes before I was even awake, holding Lily, rearranging the nursery without asking. She told me I was holding my own baby wrong. When I said I was doing it the way the lactation consultant showed me, she said, well, I raised 2 children and they turned out fine. Ryan told me to just let her help, that I was being hormonal. Hormonal. 2 weeks after major surgery. I still clench my jaw when I think about that word. Postpartum was brutal. I had PPD, I could not get breastfeeding right, I felt like I was failing at everything. Ryan tried for a while but pulled away again once the newborn novelty wore off. By 3 months, I was essentially a single parent recovering from surgery. And Patricia. Patricia was always there. But it stopped feeling like help and started feeling like surveillance. She would take Lily from my arms the second she walked in, like I could not be trusted. She let herself into our apartment with a spare key during a rare date night and deep cleaned the entire place. When I said I wished she had asked, she looked wounded and said, I am sorry for caring about my granddaughter living in a clean home. Ryan took her side. He always took her side. Every single time. But her boundary stuff was about to look like nothing compared to what I was about to find. By fall 2024, I was back at work part-time. Patricia watched Lily 2 days a week, which was a financial necessity that I hated. She started making decisions without me. Fed Lily foods I had not introduced yet. Bought a car seat for her car without telling me. Signed Lily up for a mommy and me class, and when I said I wanted to do that, she said, oh, but I already paid for the session. Now. January 2026. Last month. This is where everything fell apart. Lily had just turned 2. I was doing our taxes, something I always handled because Ryan could not be bothered. I pulled up his W-2, and his reported income was $88,000. Basically his base salary. Those killer commissions he had been bragging about for years? Maybe a few thousand here and there. Nowhere close to what he had implied. So how the hell were we living like this? The Pearl District apartment. The BMW. The dinners out. None of it added up. And I did something I am not proud of. His laptop was open on the kitchen counter, banking app right there on the screen, and I looked. What I saw made my hands go numb. A recurring deposit. $2,000. Every single month. Going back to October 2022. The month after our wedding. 47 deposits. $94,000. From an account labeled P. Welling Trust. P. Welling. Patricia Welling. My mother-in-law had been funneling money into a secret account for the entire duration of my marriage. I screenshotted everything. Went to the library the next day, because I did not want it in my search history at home, and printed bank statements showing every single transfer. Then I waited 3 days. I needed to be calm. I needed to hear his explanation before I burned my life to the ground. So, I sat him down at the kitchen table with that stack of statements between us. Lily was napping. I had reheated coffee in front of me that I never touched. And Ryan, my husband of 4 years, the father of my child, barely glanced at the papers and said, "It is just family helping out, Megan. You know, my mom likes to help." Something inside me just broke. I said, "Ryan, $94,000. Every month since we got married. Into an account I did not know existed. That is not helping. That is a secret." He shifted in his chair and said it was no big deal, that his mom had money from his dad's life insurance that she helped his sister too. I said, "Your sister is not married to me, Ryan. We are partners. Why did you not tell me?" He said, "Because I knew you would make it weird. You always have a problem with my mom." I said, "Your mother has apparently been paying you like an employee for 4 years, and you think I am the one making it weird. What was this money for, Ryan? What was the deal?" He said there was no deal. "She is just generous." I said, "Then why hide it?" We went in circles for almost an hour. Him minimizing. Me pushing. Him saying I invaded his privacy. Me saying he financially deceived me for our entire marriage. Finally I said, "I am calling your mother right now. You can tell me the truth before I dial, or I will get it from her." The look on his face. Not anger. Fear. He said, "Megan, please do not call her." I said, "Give me one reason." He could not. And that brings us to the moment I told you about at the start. I put Patricia on speaker. She picked up on the second ring. And after that 10 seconds of silence, she said those words that changed everything. "Ryan, I told you she would find out eventually." She said, "When you two had been married about 8 months, Ryan came to me very upset. He said he was not happy, that the marriage was a mistake, and he wanted to leave. I was devastated, not because of you, Megan, no offense, but because Ryan is impulsive. He has always been impulsive. I knew if he divorced you, he would just do the same thing with the next girl. So I offered him a financial incentive to commit to making the marriage work. I saw it as an investment in his stability." I could barely get the words out. I said, "Patricia, are you telling me you paid your son $2,000 a month to stay married to me?" And she said, "I am paying my son not to throw away the best thing that ever happened to him. You should be thanking me, Megan. Without me, you would have been divorced 3 years ago." I hung up, looked at Ryan. His head was in his hands. I said, "Is it true? Were you going to leave me 8 months in?" He looked up with red eyes and said, "I was confused, Meg. I did not know what I wanted. The first year is hard, you know? So your mother paid you to stay." It was not like that. That is exactly what it was like. She offered you money, and you took it. Every month for 4 years. Were you ever going to tell me? Silence. Was any of it real? The pregnancy, were you happy about Lily, or was that the bonus kicking in? He stood up. "Do not you dare question how I feel about my daughter. I love Lily more than anything. But what about me, Ryan? Do you love me? Or do you love $2,000 a month? That is not fair. None of this is fair." I packed a bag and went to Becca's that night. I did not sleep. I just lay on her couch in the dark with some true crime podcast playing that I was not really listening to, replaying 4 years of memories and trying to figure out which ones were real. The nursery he built. Was that love, or was that too grand? The way he held my hand at Lily's first birthday. Was that genuine, or was it a performance funded by his mother? Every sweet moment was now contaminated. I could not find a single memory that did not have Patricia's money somewhere behind it. Over the next few days, Ryan tried to explain himself. We met at a coffee shop, neutral ground. Not Brood Awakening, I could not do that. Some random Starbucks on Burnside. He looked like he had not slept in days. He told me he had always struggled with commitment, that he had a pattern of getting close and wanting to bolt. He said his therapist, which, by the way, I did not even know he was seeing one, told him it was probably an attachment issue from losing his dad at 15. He said his mom's offer came at his lowest point. He said he did not think of it as being paid to stay. He thought of it as a safety net, so he could work on himself without financial stress. He said that over time, he genuinely fell in love with our life. That Lily changed everything. That he asked his mom to stop the payments a few times, but she insisted. Then he said something that actually stopped me cold. He said, "Megan, my mom helped me not give up on something good. I know the method was messed up, but the result is Lily. The result is us. Does how we got here really matter if we are happy now?" And here is what kills me. We were happy. The last year and a half, things between us were genuinely good. He was present, affectionate, a good dad. I thought we had finally hit our stride. Now, I do not know if that was real or if it was just what $94,000 of commitment looks like. I talked to Ryan's sister Laura. She already knew about the payments. Of course she did. She told me Patricia had done something similar to her. Not relationship stuff, but funding Laura's career choices in exchange for Laura following the path Patricia wanted. She said, "Mom uses money like a remote control. It is toxic. But I have seen how Ryan is with you and Lily. That part is not fake." Patricia called me 2 days later. Zero remorse. She said, "I did what any mother would do. I protected my son from a rash decision. You have a husband, a daughter, a beautiful life. I will not apologize." Then she said the money was between her and her son, and frankly none of my business. None of my business. My marriage. My life. My husband's commitment to me. None of my business. I almost threw my phone across the room. I have been at Becca's for 2 weeks now. Lily is with me. Ryan sees her every day, picks her up from daycare on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We are civil. But I keep circling back to one thought that I cannot shake. If Ryan had come to me at 8 months and said, "I am struggling, I am scared, I do not know if I am ready for this," we could have worked through it together. We could have gone to therapy. I could have met him where he was. But he did not come to me. He went to his mother. And she did not tell him to talk to his wife. She wrote a check. And he cashed it. Every single month. For 4 years. That restaurant receipt from departure? I brought it up during one of our talks. Ryan said it was dinner with a female coworker, and he hid it because he knew I would read into it. Maybe that is true. At this point, does it even matter? Trust is not cracked. It is dust. So here is where things stand right now, and honestly I am still figuring this out day by day. I agreed to couples therapy. Our first session was last Thursday. It was brutal. I cried for the entire 50 minutes. Ryan cried too, which I have only seen once before, when Lily was born. The therapist said we have serious work ahead, but she has seen couples survive worse. I am not sure I believe her, but I am willing to try. For Lily. Maybe for me too. I do not know yet. I set conditions. Full financial transparency. I now have access to every account, every statement. No more money from Patricia. If I find out he accepted so much as a birthday check without telling me, I am filing that day. We are doing a post-nuptial agreement that protects me if this falls apart. He needs individual therapy for his attachment issues and his codependency with his mother, separate from our couple's work. Patricia is banned from our home. She can see Lily in supervised settings only. Ryan pushed back hard on that one. I told him his mother literally paid him to procreate with me, and until I can look at her without feeling like livestock at an auction, she does not get unlimited access to my life. He agreed. He agreed to all of it, actually. We will see if he follows through. His track record on keeping promises about boundaries with Patricia is not exactly stellar. Ryan's aunt called me last week and said, "Honey, a lot of women would kill to have a mother-in-law who invests in their marriage like that." I wanted to say, she did not invest in my marriage. She bought my husband. I did not say it though. I just said thank you and hung up and screamed into a pillow like a normal person. I do not think Ryan is a monster. I think he is a weak man with a controlling mother who never learned how to sit in discomfort without reaching for an escape hatch. I think Patricia genuinely believes money is love, the same way all controlling people believe their control is care. And I think I spent 4 years ignoring every red flag because I wanted my marriage to be real so desperately that I refused to see what was right in front of me. Here is what hurts the most. It is not the money. It is not even the lies. It is knowing that there is an alternate version of my life where Ryan leaves at 8 months, before Lily, before 4 years of building something on a rotten foundation. If Patricia had never written that first check, I would have been a 28-year-old going through a hard divorce. But I would have healed. I would have moved on. I might have found someone who chose me because they wanted to, not because their mom was covering the tab. Instead, I am 32, sitting in a therapist's office with a toddler on my hip, trying to figure out if my marriage is even salvageable. But then I look at Lily. And some days I think I would go through all of it again for her. She is here because of those payments, whether I like it or not. And other days I look at her and think she deserves parents who are together because they choose to be, not because grandma is bankrolling the operation. Becca told me last night, whatever you decide, make sure you are deciding for you and for Lily, not for Ryan. And definitely not for Patricia. You have spent 4 years accommodating everyone in that family. It is time to figure out what Megan wants. She is right. I am working on it. One therapy session, one day, one brutally honest conversation at a time. Ryan is saying all the right things. But he said all the right things for 4 years while depositing his mother's checks, so forgive me if his words do not carry much weight right now. I will say this. Last night I was putting Lily to bed, and she grabbed my face with both hands the way toddlers do and said, "Love you, Mama," and I just lost it. Because that love, right there, that tiny voice, that is the one thing in my life I know is real. No one paid for it. No one arranged it. It is just pure and honest and mine. Whatever happens with Ryan, whatever happens with Patricia, I have that. And maybe right now that is enough. Oh, and one more thing. I went back and counted the months. The payments increased from $2,000 to $2,500 the exact month I told Ryan I was pregnant. Patricia called it investing in his stability. I call it a pregnancy bonus. Take that however you want. I know exactly how I am taking it,